Hello, today I'm going to walk you through the final 2 pages of our packets before we jump into our review, and these are going to be the applications of adding, subtracting, dividing, multiplying, all that good stuff, are polynomials. So we are going to be working on pages 12 and 13 of our final page here. So let's go ahead and get started. So we want to find the perimeter and the area of this rectangle below. And so I want to remind you our perimeter formula is P equals 2 times L plus 2 times W. And our area formula is just length times the width. All right, so if we look at our rectangle here, we see that this side is x plus 8. That means that this side would also be x plus 8. This side is x plus 3, so this side would also be x plus 3. So if we want to do our perimeter, let's see here. Our perimeter formula is 2L plus 2W. So if I was going to plug these guys in, how I would do that is I would say, okay, so P is equal to 2 times L is going to be our x plus 8 plus 2 times W, which is our x plus 3, okay? And then we are going to go ahead and distribute our 2 here to get 2x. And I'm going to change up our numbers here, and this would be plus 16. And then we would say, okay, plus 2x plus 6. And so the reason why I did 2 different colors here is so that we can see really easily that the x's will go together, the 2x and the 2x, and then our whole numbers, our constants, will also go together, which is that 16 and the 6. So our final answer would be over here, and it would be 2x plus 2x is 4x, and 16 plus 6 is plus 22. So our P is equal to 4x plus 22. So that is the most simplified way to write our perimeter. Now to do our area is a little bit more fun, so we're going to go ahead and look at our formula here. So we have A is equal to our length times our width. So if we were going to go ahead and write that in, we would see that A is equal to our length, which we will say is x plus 8, and our width, which is x plus 3. So now this is where it gets a little bit fun as we are multiplying our binomials together, correct? So our A will be equal, and what we are going to do is we are going to multiply our x times our x here, whoops, and so x times x will give us x squared, okay? And then our next one, I'm going to go ahead and do my x times the 3, and we get us 3x. And then I will do my 8 times my x, which would give me plus 8x. And then finally, I would do 8 times 3, and that gives you plus 24. So then we need to combine our like terms. There's no other x squared. We have a 3x here, and we have an 8x here, and then there's no other constants. So that means our final answer would be A is equal to, let's see here, we have x squared, 3x plus 8x would give you 11x, and then plus 24. So if we are going to write it out, I guess, all in one color, it would be A is equal to x squared plus 11x plus 24. So that would be our area, our perimeter, and our area. All right, let's take a look at number 2. A rectangular fish pond is surrounded by a brick walk. We want to write an expression that describes the area of the brick walk. So what we will need to do is, let's think about this. We are going to have to take our big area and we are going to need to subtract our small area. Okay? And that is what is going to give us that brick area. All right? So we are going to take this big area and then we'll subtract our small area, and then that will leave us with the remainder of the brick area. All right, so in order to do the big area, let's take a look at this. Our big area would be 2x plus 4 times x plus 4. So I'm going to go ahead and write that right here. 2x plus 4, our length times our width. Okay. And then the small area is just going to be our 2x times our x. Okay, so this is our small area, and this one is our big area. So the big area one, let's go ahead and do that one first. So first I'm going to do this first term times that first term, so that's 2x times x, which will give me 2x squared, okay? And then we're going to do 2x times 4, which will give me 8x. And then we do 4 times x, positive 4 times x, which will give you plus 4x. And then we would do the final, which would be 4 times 4, which will give you plus 16. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and simplify these. So we have 8x and 4x that we need to simplify. There's no other 2x squared. So that would become 2x squared plus 12x plus 16. Excuse my emails. Okay, so that would be the area for the big area right here. All right, so that would be our big area. Now our small area is just going to be 2x times x will just give us 2x squared. So how we can rewrite this now is we can rewrite it as 2x squared plus 12x plus 16. And then we are going to subtract our small area, which is 2x squared. And we see that 2x squared and 2x squared are like terms. There's no other x's and there's no other constants, which those guys will actually cancel each other out. And we are left with 12x plus 16, and that is equal to that brick area. So our answer is 12x plus 16 for that guy. All right, so now let's take a look at volume. Okay, so let's remember our formula for volume. Volume is equal to length times width times height. So we have a length, we have a width, and we have a height. So now we are going to be multiplying 3 of these, which is wonderful. So how we are going to write this is we are going to go ahead and let's see here. So we have V is equal to our length, which I would say is 2x minus 1, times our width, which I would say is 3x plus 1, times our height, which is just x. So what I'm going to focus on first is multiplying out these binomials, and then we'll worry about the x at the end, okay? So the very first thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and we want to multiply. So let's see here. We have 2x times 3x, which would be 6x squared, okay? And then we have 2x times 1, which is plus 2x. And then we have negative 1 times 3x, which is minus 3x. Then we have negative 1 times 1, which would be minus 1, right? And then we still have our x here on the end. We don't want to forget that guy. Okay, so now we are going to combine our like terms before we multiply. And what we are left with in here in the middle is we have, let's see, we have 6x squared, and then plus 2x minus 3x would give me negative x, or negative 1x, and then the negative 1 stays the same. And we multiplied that by our x. So now we will go ahead and distribute this to our x. So we will say, okay, negative 6, or 6x squared times x would give us 6x cubed. Negative x times x would give us negative x squared. And negative 1 times x gives us negative 1x, or negative x. So in this case, our volume is equal to 6x cubed minus x squared minus x. And technically, all those were v equals as well. All right, so that is how we find our volume. All right, let's move on to number 4. A square has a length of, so let's see, a square has a length of 7x to the 5th, y squared. What is the area of the square? Well, this one doesn't give you a picture, so I always recommend drawing a picture. So let's go ahead and draw this. So we see that the one side length would be 7x to the 5th, y squared. And we know that one side of the square is the exact same length as the other side of the square, so we also have 7x to the 5th, y squared, right? And we know we are looking for area, and area is equal to the length times the width, all right? So important words here were square and area. All right, so if we are going to go ahead and write this out, we would say, okay, my area is equal to my length, which is 7x to the 5th, y squared, times my width, which is 7x to the 5th, y squared. And what we are going to be doing is we are going to be using those exponent rules, okay? And so we see we are going to be multiplying that 7 times our 7, all right? So our A will be equal to 7 times 7 is 49, all right? And then we'll be multiplying our x times our x to the 5th times x to the 5th means we add our exponents up to get that x to the 10, right? And then the very last one here, if we do y squared times y squared, if we're multiplying, then we are going to say that's y squared times y squared. So we are going to add our exponents up. So 2 plus 2 would be 4. So our area would be equal to 49x to the 10th, y to the 4th. All right, so that would be our area. Now, if you wanted to go ahead and write it out, x, 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 y, 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 then you would be able to still see. If you wanted to write it out in expanded form, you would still see that it's 49 x to the 10th, y to the 4th. All right. Now, number 5, we want to find the volume of this rectangular prism. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take a look at this. We're going to find our volume, and remember, our volume is our length times our width times our height. And so the volume here, we are given our length, our width, and our height. So our length would be 2x y squared times x squared y times 5y cubed. So as we're multiplying, we want to pick out all of the things that are the same. So we'll go here and we'll say, okay, we're going to find our coefficients, all of our constants. We have 2 and 5. So 2 times 5 would be 10. So we're starting right there. All right, and then we'll go to our next one here. We want our x's, so here's our x. Remember, if it's x and there's no exponent, that's really like there's a little 1. Then we also have an x here, and there's no x there, so we have x to the 1 times x to the x squared, so that's 1 plus 2. So that would be x cubed. And then we'll look at our y's, and we have y squared, y to that 1, and y cubed, so we do 2 plus 1 plus 3. So that would be y to the 6th. So our final answer for our volume would be v equals 10x cubed, y to the 6th. All right, and last but certainly not least, we have the volume of a cube is 392 x to the 6th power y cubed, so we have the volume here, cubic units, and the area of its base is 49 x cubed y squared, square units. What is the length of an edge in cube units if x is greater than 0 and y is greater than 0? So let's take a look at this. So we know that the volume is equal to length times width times height, right? And we know that the length times width is really the same thing as our area. So we can say area times height, right? Or area times length, or whatever it is, right? And so we have our height. And in a cube, remember, all the sides are the same. So in a cube, all the sides are the same length. So we just need to find one of them. All right, and so if we were going to rewrite this, if our volume is equal to our area times our height, and we wanted to find the length of one of the edges, like the height, we would need to divide by that area, okay? So then it would be V over A. So we are going to put our volume, which is that 392, x to the 6th y cubed, over our area, which is 49 x cubed y squared. All right, so here we go. So our length or our height, or however we want to write it, would be, our volume would be 392 x to the 6th y cubed over our area, which is 49 x cubed y squared. All right, so what we want to do is we want to go ahead and simplify this. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to simplify our whole numbers, or our coefficients, our constants. So 392 divided by 49, let's see if that divides evenly, all right? So I will pull out my handy-dandy calculator here, and I will say 392 divided by 49, and we see that it divides nice and evenly into 8. All right, so we have 8 on top, and I guess 1 on the bottom. All right, let's see if there's anything on the bottom. Let's see what happens. All right, and then we have our x. Let's look at our x's. So we have x to the 6th and x cubed, and from our rules, we know that x to the 6th over x cubed, we will subtract our exponents when we divide. So that would be, so we're going to move this guy up here. So it would be 6 minus 3. So we are left with x cubed on top, and we are left with nothing on bottom, right? It cancels it out, which is really nice. And then our final one here, we see for our y's, y cubed over y squared, and our we know that we can do y cubed, that 3 minus that 2, right? Our division rules here, so 3 minus 2 would be 1, and we are left with nothing on the bottom, so we are just left with that y1. So at the end of the day, it's just 1, 1, 1 on the bottom, so 1 times 1 times 1 is nothing. And our final answer for our length or our height or our width, because it's all the same on a cube, is 8x cubed y. All right, so this is the length of one of our edges, 8x cubed y. All right, guys, I want to take a minute and I want to go back over these 3 problems on the end, just so that you can see what it would look like in expanded form, if you would like to do that, all right? So if not, you can go ahead and move forward and get to work on the review, but I wanted to show you what this looks like in expanded form. So if we had our our area is equal to, 7x to the 5th y squared times 7x to the 5th y squared. We could write it, right? We could say, okay, that's going to be 7 times 7. And then we have our x times x times x times x times x from this one. And then we have to do it again, times x times x times x times x times x from our second one. And then we're going to do our y's, which would be y times y. And again, y times y. And we see that when we simplify that, 7 times 7 is 49. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 x's. So that would be x to the 10th power. And we have 4 y's, so that would be y to the 4th. So either way you do this problem, you will get x to the 10th, y to the 4th. All right, for number 4. Now let's take a look at number 5 and what that would look like in our expanded form, okay? If we were going to do our volume in our expanded form. So if we had our volume here and we were going to do our constants and our coefficients, we'd say, okay, we do 2 times 5, right? And then we do our x's, and so that would be 10. And then, but then we do our x's. We got 1x here, so I'm going to break it down. And then we have 2 more, x and x. Okay. And then for our y's, okay, we have 2 y's here, 1 y there, and then 3 y's here. So our volume is equal to 10x cubed y to the 6th. And we see that we get the same answer whether we use the exponent rules or if we use the expanded form. That volume equals 10x cubed y to the 6th. And the final thing will also be true for our volume here, okay? So if we wanted to expand this out for our height, or I guess it's our length, we would say, okay, that's what, we have our 392 over our 49, okay? And then let's do our x's. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 x's in the numerator and 3 x's in the denominator. And then our last but certainly not least, our y's. We have 3 y's in the numerator and 2 y's in the denominator. And we see that 392 divided by 49 is going to give us 8. And then we cancel our x's out, and we are left with x cubed. And we cancel our y's out, and we are simply just left with y. So our final answer would be 8x cubed y. And you see that we get the same, oops, I guess you can't see that, sorry, it's little. And so you see that we get the same answer either way we do it. 8x cubed y if we separate it out, or if we do it this way. All right, so I hope that helps, and I hope that you can see it in the expanded form as well, or you can also follow the exponent rules on those guys. All right, good luck, and get to work on that review.